An academic, a podcast host, and a reporter walk into the usual place? Okay, now I'm going to skip the punchline here, but if you're here for the first time, welcome to the usual place. I'm Natasha, the reporter in that lineup. And we're almost at the halfway mark for GE 2025, so let's take stock of where we are at, how this is shaping up, and what this means for you, the voter. The academic who has dropped by the usual place is Dr. Elvin Ong, an assistant professor at the NUS Department of Political Science. And this university semester, he's teaching a class on elections and political parties. I hear their exams coming soon next week, so good luck to those students. But on the other end of the couch, we have Joel Lim, who's the host of the Political Prude podcast, where he's already had a couple of candidates come on his show. So thank you both for dropping by. So you want to take stock of what's happened, because we're on day 4 of the campaigning period, right? You know, from all the cuts from the political parties have been laid out so far. You know, what are the biggest surprises for each of you to date?
Alvin, do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise is definitely just the Workers' Party not contesting in Marine Parade, Braddock Heights, GRC, and then the back and forth over the various political parties over issues of abandonment, right? So Workers' Party supposedly, seemingly abandoning Marine Parade, Braddock Heights, and then Minister Tan See Leng moving to... was it Jurong? No, Choa Chu Kang.
Choa Chu Kang, yeah.
And then Choa Chu Kang, Minister Gan Kim Yong moving to Punggol GRC. So seemingly a lot of allegations of abandonment.
Yeah.
So
and the PAP Minister Ong Ye Kung was talking about Dr. Chee Soon Juan abandoning Bukit Batok. So this is the word of the election, is it?
Yeah, so far.
Abandonment issues.
Yeah, will this, Alvin, going on what you said, will this issue of abandonment and of candidates moving, how far will it factor in this election? And will people move on to other things going, because we still have about 5 more days, I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah, the issue of abandonment only comes when you think about different candidates, different political parties, different ministers having very strong connections with the residents there. However, if we think that moving candidates around is par for the course, because basically political parties, they want to maximize their chances of winning, and they're going to put candidates where they think are going to maximize their chances of winning. So the PAP has decided that moving some of its heavyweight ministers around is going to maximize their chances of winning in certain areas as compared to others. So it's doing its own political calculations, and same for Workers' Party, I think. Yeah.
Joel?
Yeah, I mean, Punggol GRC being a battleground was a surprise for me.
Oh,
but
why?
it's one of those surprises where it's like in hindsight, you're like, wait, that makes so much sense. Why didn't I see it coming? I mean, I guess it's really because the WP fielded Mr. Harpreet Singh there. And, throughout this election season, he has been kind of known as the star catch of the party. And the fact that I think the PAP did put, DPM Gun there as well, I think lends credence to, that statement as well. So for me, it's like when I look at hindsight, it's like, of course, Punggol's right next to Sengkang and nearby Hougang. It just made sense that the WP would, contest and put their A2 team over there. Yeah.
So you said Punggol, what are the hot GRCs that, we will see intense battle going to the ballot box?
I mean, I think the one that's most exciting for me is West Coast Jurong West GRC, where we see Minister Desmond Lee going head-to-head against Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, which he's now has a team with the PSP's A team with, Hazel Phua and Leong Man Wai on his team as well. So, there's a lot at stake on both sides. Dr. Tan said that this is his last election.
Yeah.
And Minister Desmond has been highly regarded as minister as well. A lot of people say that he's very good at what he does. So I think it's a battleground to watch. And also the last election, I think West Coast, the margin was really, really tight. So I think for me that's the one that I'm on the lookout for. What about you?
Yeah, I think all the constituencies that Workers' Party is going to contest is going to be very marginal. We already saw that in GE2020, if you look at all the constituencies that the Workers' Party has contested in, the vote share for the Workers' Party was actually slightly above 50% against the PAP. So it suggests that on average, right, the median voter kind of leans towards the Workers' Party. On the other side, on the west, I'm also very keenly looking at Bukit Panjang, where Professor Paul Tambia is contesting at Bukit Panjang, am I correct? Yeah. So in the past election, I think he did fairly well, around 45% of the vote share, if I'm not wrong, 46, 47 maybe. And so, a lot of people are going to look at him to see whether he will be able to cross the 50% threshold.
Yeah, like Dr. Paul Tambaya has really gained a lot of ground over the last 5 years as well, especially among younger audiences. He did come onto my podcast, and when the episode went out, there was a huge response from like the younger audience saying that like, wow, I can't believe you managed to speak to him, and they like him. I think that the demographic respects him as an individual. Yeah.
I mean, since we're talking about age, earlier you mentioned Dr. Tan Cheng Bok, right?
Yeah.
Will age be a factor? Because I think today is his birthday.
Happy
he turns
birthday.
80. I hope it's today, but it's around this couple of days.
Today,
yeah.
yeah.
All right. If he's listening, he can shout out today. But will age be a factor in this election? Because we are seeing new faces. There are a lot of candidates who are in their late 30s, early 40s, so that's younger than, say, Dr. Chan, who's 85. And yeah, what do you think?
I mean, my general sentiment is that it doesn't really affect. Most of us want to see what they stand for and what they represent. But certainly, when the PAP started fielding a lot of younger faces, like, for example, Sean Low, Goh Han Yen, I think they're all resonating pretty well with like the younger demographic. So I think that's great. But I think at the same time, Dr. Tan Cheng Bok's message still resonates with a lot of young people as well. His name, his face still pulls in a lot of engagement from the social media space. So I don't think it's a matter of age, but what do you think?
I think age makes sense for the internal renewal of political parties, right? When they want to make sure that they have their future secured with more younger candidates coming to the fore to try to help them present a kind of newer version of themselves. But I would say what is more important is actually the political parties having policies that speak to younger voters, that engage with what younger voters care about. I know a lot of my students in NUS are graduating and they are telling me the job market is very competitive. So they are looking definitely at issues concerning, say, economic growth, how to make sure that there are jobs available in the market for younger voters, how do they are they able to afford their first HDB flats, so on and so forth. So those are issues that younger voters are concerned about, and I think a lot of political parties should emphasize these issues to try to engage with the younger voters, and not just the age demographics of the candidates.
Yeah, I think the PSP's manifesto has a specific policy that explicitly is named like a millennial policy, So I think they're definitely trying to resonate with younger audiences through like their plans.
All right. So one of the places that parties are actually showcasing their plans or talking about it is at the rallies, which are back for the first time in 10 years. Have you been already?
Not yet.
All right, not yet. But today, I think there's like 9 rallies.
Really? Okay.
9 rallies, I
I'm
remember.
clearing my schedule.
Tonight. There's a lot, right?
I
So
need to
check.
go to 2 rallies tonight.
Oh, wow.
Oh, which ones are you going to?
One is the PAP rally at Bedok Stadium. I think that's for East Coast. Another one is the Workers' Party rally at Temasek Junior College,
For
the
Tampines?
formerly Tampines Junior College for Tampines, GRC. So I'll be going to those 2 rallies to kind of look at the crowd, to have a sense of how many people are going, what the candidates are talking about, as the younger people say, to assess the vibes in the place.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would say.
For a sense, I want to say I've been to rallies before. Have you been to, before this year, have you been?
No.
All right, hang on there. Elvin, you've been to rallies before,
Yes.
right? So why should people make an effort to go down to any rallies? No matter what party, why should you go?
You should go for a couple of reasons. You should go to listen to what the candidates have to say across all political parties. So if you have the time, go to as many rallies as you can, to especially the rallies that are happening for your own constituency, because you want to know what the candidates stand for, and it is the most unfiltered way of talking to the voters there in those particular constituencies. And number 2, if you are a more sociable person, you can also take the opportunity to talk to your neighbors, to talk to the people at the rally, and have a sense of what your fellow Singaporeans are thinking about, have a sense of how they are assessing the different candidates and the different parties there. I think having more democratic conversation amongst voters is something that is a little bit lacking in Singapore. So you can actually take the opportunity of the rally to talk to your fellow Tampaneseans or the fellow East Coasters. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if people cannot go down, I'm going to plug ST for a second because we got you covered on the live blog, on the website. We've got live feed. So ST is where it's at. So going back to the questions, I want to ask you about why I brought up rallies was because on Thursday, I think it was the first day of rallies, and the gauntlet was thrown down by those who had rallies, on Thursday night. As in his first rally as Prime Minister and Secretary General of the PAP, PM Wong said, don't give the opposition a free pass. Then, in comparing manifestos, Workers' Party Chief Pritam Singh said the PAP resorted to motherhood statements. Are the gloves off now? I don't know. Who wants to take this question?
I think they are still punching with gloves on, actually. Gloves on, meaning that, there is still some safety involved in the rhetoric, right? They are throwing punches, but they are taking care not to hurt each other too much, I feel. If you really are punching with gloves off, then you will see much more, I think, inflammatory rhetoric, much more name-calling, much more innuendos about people's integrity, so on and so forth, for people who have experience with past general elections. So I would say that they're still punching with gloves on, but that doesn't mean that you still can't punch ferociously with gloves on. Yeah.
I mean, I will use a sports analogy, I guess. This is no longer a friendly match. This is, the championship match, the finals. So if we want to see them also, play with passion and fight for the cup. Yeah.
I mean, Gomeng Singh from People's Power Party, right? So he gave Singaporeans a line to remember when he declared that he was not going to talk about Mr. Singh, but then he said he's not gay, which was a very strange line. But during the rally he said this lah, and then there were other candidates who have gotten Singapore talking and becoming memes. So what I wanted to ask you was, do these off-script moments make candidates come off as maybe more relatable, or have voters scratching their heads about what happened there, or what should voters make of it? When candidates come out and make speeches or do interviews.
I think when candidates come up to make speeches, they basically add to the perception of the voters that voters have in mind of who these candidates are. And so these small moments, these viral moments, add on top to each other. They add on to what people have seen on social media. They add on to what people may have seen on nomination day, or may be seeing in the future towards, for example, in the television interviews, so on and so forth. So all these small moments add up, and they create voters have a perception of all these different candidates in their minds about whether these candidates are trustable, whether these candidates have kind of competence, whether these candidates have integrity, and and whether they are articulate or not. Right? So to some extent, being able to be articulate in a rally somewhat translates to being able to be articulate in Parliament. Right, so voters will be subtly shaped by what the different candidates say in the rallies. Yeah,
Joel, your take?
I mean, when we look at a party like the PPP, is definitely a smaller party as compared to other opposition parties like the PSP, SDP, or WP. So maybe it could have been his strategy to stand out. Right, it is going to. I mean, it is a very saturated space. A lot of rallies are happening. A lot of election content is going out there. Certainly, he captured attention. We are talking about it right now. But yeah, I think. But whether or not it's effective, that's to be decided. I think from what I see online in the comments, people might be a little bit more confused than they are anything. But I think it certainly makes him stand out because people are talking about him more now.
Okay. I mean, the other thing I want to bring up was merchandise, because the parties have been giving out things, right? I mean, I haven't gotten anything, but I've seen like the. No, as a voter. I know. So I mean, like, I think in Bedok there's like a foldable bag. I want to say I saw someone like post about it, and then okay. But the reason I'm bringing it up because Mr. Pritam Singh again said that PAP candidates are giving out things like toothbrushes and ice cream. Okay, but party lines aside, why do candidates give this out? I mean, just to think about the psyche of what's going on with the thinking here.
I mean, it's the oldest trick in the book, no? Look at outside all the MRT stations with all the like insurance sellers or credit card sellers dangling all their ling-longs, with all the umbrellas or luggages. How many people have signed insurance packages because you've given them an umbrella?
So is this a way of recall, or is it like an icebreaker thing?
I would say it's an icebreaker. Yeah, but what are you?
Yeah, definitely. If you give like small knickknacks like toothbrushes and so on and so forth, it makes people remember you, right? No matter how insignificant that small gift might be. So now that the candidate for Aljunied has given out toothbrushes, people now remember him as the dentist. And so you could say that it is a very effective way of breaking the ice with residents and allowing the residents to form their perception of this particular candidate. So I think it's a very effective icebreaker, and political parties can give out different things that they want. Of course, if you're a better resource political party, you get things for free. If you're a smaller resource political party, then you have to buy those merchandise. Have you bought any merchandise before? No.
I must caveat. I have not bought any. I am not allowed to buy any. I don't have any affiliation with anybody, so I have nothing. Yes, but have you bought anything, Joel? Have you bought or have you received anything? You've met any of the candidates along the way?
I mean, I think when the SDA came to the podcast yesterday to do an interview, they gave us little flags, and they're like, please. Like wave it.
With their party logo?
With the party logo.
I do recall former journalist Bertha Hansen. She wrote on Facebook that she got a free umbrellas from the PAP side as well as the Workers' Party side. Oh. And I think I could be wrong, but from my interpretation of her Facebook post, she thought that it is right to be given these free umbrellas if they requested for it. But my recollection was maybe 10, 15 years ago, you had to pay money for these umbrellas. Yeah. They're not free. So I must confess, I think maybe 10, 15 years ago, I actually bought umbrella at a rally, and it was maybe $20 or something like that. At that time, still no pay now, that sort of thing. So you still have to pay in cash. But that when you pay in cash, you're actually donating to the political party for that particular merchandise. So maybe times have shifted, right? Now times maybe people think that, you should be able to get these free things.
Right.
Not in the past.
Right. I would buy a usual place umbrella. Let's put it out there.
All right. So, I mean, I will give some feedback to my team. Okay, that totally was okay, we need merch. We'll look into it after the GE. So I want to talk about social media as well, because it's this huge machine that every single party has had to tap on. But back in the day, candidates mainly just had to focus on pounding the ground, right? They knock on doors, they meet people in hawker centres. But now, today, they got to show up online as well, and show up in a big way, because the amount of content that's out there is massive and it's staggering, So what does this mean for how politicians campaign? How different is this election than, say, even the last one, which was during COVID, or even 10 years ago, with social media changing the game? I mean, Joel, you're the social media guy.
Yeah. I mean, for one...
Own it, yes.
For one, I think we see that there's a lot more... There's more of a need to cater and reach out to different sectors of society, even on different platforms. So on one level, you're looking at what platforms should I look at. There is Facebook, there is Instagram, there is TikTok, there is YouTube, there's X, right? And how do all these different platforms function, and how do the content... How can I optimize my content for those platforms? And then within those platforms, there are different sectors, different communities, right? Every creator, for example, has a very niche community that they reach out to. So I think when it comes to whether it's parties or candidates, we see the strategy tackling on those content on both levels. And when we look at specifically the second level, we can look at, for example, influencer collaborations, content page collaborations. We can look at different types of mediums as well. Like, for example, a lot of them are doing very sleek reel or TikTok videos. We can see them doing, carousel, sliding infographics. Yeah, so I think the strategy overall that's changed from 2020 is really that they are all optimizing their content for whatever platforms they're doing and making sure that, they are collaborating with different outlets to reach out to people that they might not actually reach out to on their own. Because when they have their own pages, it's usually people who already support them. But of course, when you're in a campaign or when you're in an election, you want to reach out to as many people as possible. And sometimes you might need to leverage off the influence or the communities of other people out there. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the social media game has definitely allowed political parties and candidates to reach voters much more directly. In the past, you have to go through Straits Times, you have to go through Channel News Asia, and they will be the filter for what is going to be the trending news of the day. But for now, today, you have these various platforms, the different podcasts, the different interview platforms, leveraging on those different platforms to reach out to different kinds of voters. It allows political parties and candidates to have a much more direct voice to them. The second thing I would say is the political parties, I believe so far, they have been very good at trying to talk about policies. They have been very good at trying to portray a most kind of authentic version of themselves. Sometimes when you do too much on social media, you can come across as very inauthentic. And it's just a feeling, right? You can't really say why certain things are authentic or inauthentic. But over time across different platforms, people can start to sense like, oh, are you trying to do this just for the sake of doing it? Or are you doing this because you have a message to share, that you have certain policies that you want to emphasize? I think people can sense it.
Yeah, I think after GE 2020, I think a lot of the parties and candidates realized the importance of having a social media team. What I see, one difference I see as well is that when in 2020, a lot of them were managing their own pages. Whether it's you can tell when it's them, right? But now, especially when you see them on the ground, they have very specific individuals who specialize in social media, helping them curate and put out the content that they're putting out now. So you can definitely see that the social media content and things that they're putting out on those pages is definitely a priority now.
Speaking of authenticity, who is the one person for each of you across party lines who stands out as being very authentic?
Ooh, stands out as being very authentic.
Yeah, who's showing who's bringing their true self to social media, I think, cutting through that medium. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Mr. Harpreet Singh has been fairly authentic from what I see so far. Not so much social media, but from the various interviews that he has done so far with different platforms. Maybe I should have mentioned this on the Straits Times, the usual base podcast, but on various platforms, various interviews that he has done. He has been able to portray his life story. He has been able to articulate a very kind of clear, coherent narrative of why he's why he's joining Workers' Party right now. So I think his narrative is quite well known through these various platforms.
He has not been on the usual place, so if he's watching this, the invite is always open.
Last minute
on the chair.
Yes. But Joe, you're going to say who's an authentic? I mean, coming across as
they definitely have experience now because they're both veterans. But I think I've seen content from on the PAP side, Mr. Ong Kang. He's very genuine in his interviews. Sometimes I will say like, oh, that's quite a surprising answer coming from him. And I thought Dr. Jamus Lim's content this election has been genuine as well. Like I think I just was watching one of his introductory videos and it came across real. So yeah.
I think one of the lines that has come up is like, a candidate saying, I'm not a TikTok politician, I'm a serious politician. I think Harpreet mentioned that as well.
I'm a conviction politician.
Yeah,
I think that's the term.
What should people make of this whole conversation about whether I'm on social media or not?
About being a conviction politician?
A conviction politician versus politicians who are just generally better at social media. What should we?
Oh.
Yes. Do we judge candidates by what they put up on social media or?
Well, whatever candidates put up on social media, I think they will definitely form just a sliver of the overall impression that voters have about them as a candidate, as well as the political party that they represent. Of course, voters have various platforms to look at. They can look on TV, they can look on newspapers, they can look at social media. So I think social media is definitely going to be an important part of that overall impression, but not the only part of that overall impression. Yeah. So nowadays, everyone says that they are a conviction politician.
Wait, can we just explain that term for people who might not understand what it means? Or
well, from what I interpret so far, a conviction politician is someone who enters the electoral arena to stand as a political candidate because they feel strong convictions about particular policies that they believe that their political party has, that they want to introduce to Singapore. They feel very strong convictions that their entry into the political arena will be of a service to the voters in those particular constituencies. So that's my current interpretation of what a conviction politician is. Yeah.
So the follow-up question to that would then be, what is the alternative to that? Is it a just vibes politician?
Yeah.
Like what
So no one will
because-
say
yeah, 'cause
no
I'm-
one will say that they are not a conviction politician if everybody is a
Yes.
conviction politician.
yeah. Joel, do you have thoughts about
No thoughts, just vibes. I guess I'll be a just vibes politician.
I want to go back to another thing you said about podcasts being a medium this election,
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody is on a podcast.
True.
I mean,
It's true.
I have the usual place. Yes. And we've had PAP members, candidates, WP candidates, and there's more to come, And then we've seen them on your podcast and other
Absolutely,
podcasts as
yeah.
well. Is this a podcast election? Beyond social media?
100%. I think we look at, for example, the US elections, that was called a podcast election and didn't happen too long ago. I think, at this point in time, people are consuming podcasts, right? Whether it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, people are really consuming this medium. They love the long form, they love the sit down interviews, they love going deep. And, as I said, on every other interview, the politicians will go where the people are. And at this point, the people are at podcasts, right? Maybe in 2030, it will be VR interviews. You never know what's the next thing. But whatever it is, if there is an audience, that's where the politicians will go.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a podcast election as well. I think from some rough calculations that I have, in the past, say, 6 to 8 months, we have about 100 podcast episodes with politicians on various platforms.
Nice.
So that would be more than 10 episodes per month, right? And I think that's a lot for people to consume. But people have a lot of time on MRT trains and in cars right
true.
now. So, yeah.
All right. I want to go back to how a candidate shows up, because we've seen candidates singing. We've seen them beatboxing, then doing stylized introduction videos. We've seen them in different forms and talking about different things about themselves. What will actually move the needle with voters this election? Will it be personality, policy, or anything else? What do you think?
Well, in Singapore, here is where I get into my academic mode.
Please.
In Singapore, the elections are still mostly driven by what we call valence perceptions. And when we use the term valence perceptions, I think that basically means that voters are trying to assess the competency of various candidates and various political parties in delivering outcomes that most voters would want, such as peace and societal safety and economic growth and security and defense, so on and so forth. So the political party or candidate that can best project the most credible valence perception to voters will be the more successful one. And so far, I think the various political parties are trying to do a good job of trying to emphasize their credentials, emphasize their experience in the past. So I think not so much personality-wise. If personality can feed into those prevalence perceptions, I think that will be very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to that, I think, your question is whether it's personality or policy. At the end of the day, I think it boils down to policy, but having a personality that can help you communicate the policy certainly helps, and definitely makes you stand out from the rest. Yeah. But with regards to all the singing and everything, I'm just a little bit confused. But you know what? I am so entertained. Thank you for the memes. Thank you for singing. Sing more. It's so funny.
Who's your favorite singer?
Oh, I look left, look right. Look left, look right. For a career path. I don't know what he was doing, but it's great. It's in my head every day.
On that note, thank you both for dropping by. That was a random note to end on, but all right, you got us. And Dr. Ong, thank you very much for dropping by. Joel, I'll be seeing you again really soon.
Yes.
And bring the voice again, because you will be on the polling night show that I'll be co-hosting with my colleague Olivia, and you'll be a panelist on the show. So I'll see you in about a week.
Yes.
You're out. Yeah.
Hopefully with nicer eye bags.
All right, we'll see you then.
All right.
And that's it from me today. The GE2025 campaign is just unfolding, and as things go with elections, anything can happen overnight. So I hope to see you again back tomorrow. More new candidates will be here. I'm not going to give away just yet who they are, so you got to come back tomorrow at noon for the reveal. I'll be streaming live from this couch right here on The Usual Place. I'll see you then.